Democratic Senator Tom Carper says dreamer illegal immigrants should be hired to replace millions of Americans who supposedly are too unskilled, uneducated, unethical or drugged up to work for companies. I think the business community is saying that to the administration, and they are certainly saying that to those of us in the Congress, and we should focus on that, Carper told MSNBC. We have a moral responsibility to them, Carper said about the roughly 690,000 dreamer illegals, not about Americans. Carper added, doing a deal with the dreamers is as much about, as I said earlier, is about making sure we have the folks who can go to work tomorrow. Carper continued. Today, when folks want to work in this country, there is still 2 to 3 million jobs unfilled. Unfilled. Nobody is there to do the jobs, they don't have the education, the work skills, the work ethic, they can't pass a drug test. Are we going to send 700-800, illegal immigrants, people back home to the countries where they were born? They are perfectly capable of doing these jobs, they can pass a drug test, why would we do that? Carper's moment of frankness came 3 minutes into a February 5 MSNBC interview when he was asked about the Democrats' effort to win an amnesty for the DACA illegals, whose population ranges up to 3.25 million. The left-wing host did not object to Carper's suggestion that millions of Americans be discarded for the benefit of illegal immigrants and Wall Street investors. The push for a DACA amnesty is largely powered by the alliance of business interests and Democrats who want more imported workers to help keep Americans' wages from rising, and to eventually vote for Democratic candidates. The push is strongly supported by establishment journalists, even though business groups also want to cut their white-collar wages. Multiple establishment columnists are also eager to replace Americans with immigrants. Companies want more imported workers because the nation's formal unemployment rate is low. Without a reserve army of unemployed people, companies are forced to compete for new workers by offering higher wages, bonuses and training opportunities. For example, a new chart shows that annual wage growth, including inflation, rises above 2% once the prime-age non-employment rate drops below 23%. That January wage rise was cited by several economists as a reason for the sudden drop in stock prices because a year of rising wages means lower profits for investors. But there are also millions of sidelined Americans who have not worked for years, largely because wages have been lowered by mass immigration. For example, the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed this month that 74% of college-trained Americans hold jobs, but only 57.5% of high school graduates and only 45% of high school dropouts are working. However, employers don't want to employ these sidelined Americans. Some lack workplace skills or training, some are living in rural areas far from immigrant-fueled economic hotspots, and some have drug problems amid the national opioid epidemic. Those millions of disadvantaged Americans are the people that Democratic Senator Carper wants to discard in favor of illegal immigrants. He told MSNBC. A lot of people on our side and others as well, they look at the dreamers and say the morally right thing to do here, these are kids who came over here, they were young, didn't come by their own volition, their parents brought them, they grew up here, they were educated here, work here in many cases, and we have a moral responsibility to them. That's all true. Having said that, actually, there is an economic imperative here as well. Today, when folks want to work in this country, there is still 2 to 3 million jobs unfilled. Unfilled. Nobody is there to do the jobs, they don't have the education, the work skills, the work ethic, they can't pass a drug test. And one of the reasons why I think the stock market is gyrating around is because we are at full employment. And at a time when we have all these jobs to fill, are we going to send 700-800, people back home to the countries where they were born? They are perfectly capable of doing these jobs, they can pass a drug test, why would we do that? It is economic insanity, and I think the business community is saying that to the administration. They are certainly saying that to those of us in the Congress, and we should focus on that economic side as well. Doing a deal with the dreamers is as much about, as I said earlier, is about making sure we have the folks who can go to work tomorrow. Carper is not the only D.C. politician who wants to discard Americans. Numerous other senators are urging an amnesty even though millions of Americans are sidelined, while wages and salaries have been stuck since 2000, so allowing the stock market to grow rapidly. Nearly all Democratic senators, plus a few Republicans, including Colorado Senator Cory Gardner, support the DREAM Act, which would allow up to 3.25 million illegals to replace sidelined Americans. GOP Senators Tom Tillis and James Lankford have proposed an amnesty for roughly 2 million illegals to help employers. Wisconsin GOP Senator Ron Johnson has publicly backed a plan to import 500,000 workers per year, allowing companies to replace swaths of their American workforces. In November 2016, real estate developer Donald Trump was elected president by Americans worried about their future. On his inauguration day, Trump promised a policy of Buy American, Hire American. 4 million Americans turn 18 each year and begin looking for good jobs in the free market. But the federal government inflates the supply of new labor by annually accepting roughly 1.1 million new legal immigrants, by providing work permits to roughly 3 million resident foreigners, and by doing little to block the employment of roughly 8 million illegal immigrants. The Washington-imposed economic policy of economic growth via mass immigration floods the market with foreign labor, spikes profits and Wall Street values by cutting salaries for manual and skilled labor offered by blue-collar and white-collar employees. It also drives up real estate prices, widens wealth gaps, reduces high-tech investment, increases state and local tax burdens, hurts kids' schools and college education, pushes Americans away from high-tech careers, and sidelines at least 5 million marginalized Americans and their families, including many who are now struggling with opiate addictions.
Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe our channel for more news videos daily and for what's viral today. Also turn on post notifications and don't miss nothing. A thumbs up really makes me blessed.